What's up, gang? This is your friendly neighborhood Viking Ian coming back at you with another Motivational Monday this week. We're talking about Metallica. We're talking about mental health. We're going to give you your Motivational Monday for the week and set you up for the whole damn week. So stay tuned and check this shit out. All right, let's get this video going here. Let me see if I'm sitting here looking as slim as a fat guy can look, I guess, as I have shrimp etouffee stains on my hoodie here. It's nice. A couple things were brought to my attention just this past week. So I had a fan tag me in a post recently about James Hetfield and Metallica canceling a couple festival dates, I believe, for the summer or something like that. Sonic Temple and something else. I'm not sure too much. But I have a lot of people that have asked me about mental health when it comes to being in a band and stuff like that. And from what I read, he is canceling due to his mental health. He needs to get his mental health in better shape or whatever. There's a lot of people that I saw who were really pissed off about it. A lot of people were saying some very negative things about Metallica, about Hetfield in general, about mental health, this and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And I mean, I can tell you a couple things for sure. If you're not in a band, if you have never toured, if you have never had to know what it's like to do this job and to be away from your family for weeks and months and all that kind of stuff, you should shut the f up, because you have no idea what you're talking about. At least come forward and say, I'm gonna say something, but I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. Like, at least be honest in your ignorance instead of saying something awful about somebody else. We don't know that guy. You have no idea. I have no idea what it's like to be Metallica. If you're watching this video, neither do you. For anybody to sit here and say some negative things about a guy trying to secure his mental health, that's pretty low. Honestly, you know, this is definitely one of those, like, walk a mile in his shoes. I know you're gonna say, oh, the guy's a millionaire, oh, he's got this, he's got that. You're right, he does. He has all those things. He earned all those things, but there are other sides to it. So I think that if I was to speak to James Hetfield right now, I would say, nobody knows you better than you. If you feel like you need a break, he probably needs a break. Who cares? Like, is it inconvenient? Yeah, it's inconvenient. If you really had your heart set on seeing Metallica at Sonic Temple and all that stuff, like, I'm sure it's inconvenient. But it's not worth sitting there just saying awful shit about somebody because they needed to take care of themselves. To James Hetfield, I would say, do you, kid? You know what I mean? If you need time off, if you need to sort it out, sort it out. And to the people that are sitting there saying awful shit about a guy who needs to get his life together, you. I mean, straight up, not cool. Which leads me to my next point, which actually is mental health. A couple weeks ago, we put a Motivational Monday video out, and we were talking about the truth about touring. And you can watch that right here somewhere. This little tab. If you haven't watched it, check it out. If you're a new band, or if you're new to touring and stuff like that, you should definitely watch it. And I will tell you some truths that some people won't. What I didn't get into in that video was the mental health side of that. And that is a big deal. The reason it's a big deal is because it's a huge unspoken part of touring. People don't tell you about the mental health stuff. They just think that what you're doing is awesome and you should just be happy about that, which you should. But this is another one of those, you need to walk a mile in those shoes to know what that's like. Is touring fun? Yes. Is touring fun? Also no. Touring is awesome and it sucks at the same time. What you guys see is you think that we're out, we're doing all this crazy stuff, we're living these crazy lives, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And in part, you are right. We are doing something that a lot of people don't get the opportunity, don't get the chance to do. We are out there traveling the country, trying to play every night, scraping together money just to get by, just to play the songs that we spent months and months or years, whatever, writing, just to get them in front of other people. We are doing something that most people don't do, that you're right about. What you're wrong about is what actually happens on those tours. I was actually on a podcast a few months back. It's our buddies, the 12FU podcast with Jake and Adam. Here's how it works. Say you're on tour for a month. Week 1 is the honeymoon phase. You're out there. This is awesome. We're back on the road. Everything's cool, everything's great. You're in it and you're happy about it. Week 2, okay, you're settled in and you're starting to kind of get the rhythm of everything, and that's kind of what it is. It's like the settling in phase. Week 3, you're starting to kind of go, this is where I'm at, this is where I live, and you're starting to check your Facebook and your Twitter and your Instagram kind of a lot more. You're kind of starting to text people and get any kind of line of communication with pretty much anybody, because that's how it is being on tour. People see you, but you don't see them. Week 4 feels like you're never going back home. Feels like when you move somewhere new and you finally realize that's where you live now and you're never going back to the other place. You feel like you're starting to almost forget what it's like to be where you're from, because you've been in this goddamn tin can on wheels for the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. It feels like you're never gonna get back home. It's, you know, it really does, it does mess with you mentally. And that's where it will start to break you down. Once you hit like week 3 or so, you know, I mean, this is my experience. It will kind of want to start to break you down a little bit mentally. That's the stuff that people don't take into account, because they just think that you're out doing whatever, living awesome. And there's a bunch of studies that have been done about, you know, the mental stability and mental health with touring bands. Because you go through such drastic highs and drastic lows. Now the drastic highs are obviously when you're playing. You know, you get to the venue and you're starting to kind of ramp yourself up, and then the show starts, and then you go, and hopefully it's a great show. Even if it's not a great show, you're still kind of up. And then you get done, and you immediately get into your van, and then you're driving for the next, who knows, 4 hours, 6, 8, 10 hours. Who the hell knows how long it's going to be? That's where the drastic lows come in. So the drastic highs are obviously when the shows are happening. The drastic lows are when you're in the van traveling and you're not really talking that much. So I drive at night and then the guys sleep. I tend to put on certain mood musics that are not what I commonly listen to. I listen to like a lot of doo-wop, very, very classic stuff, because I can't listen to metal all day long. I can't play the thing and then listen to it all night long. I put something really soothing that feels good. I'll put something like that on and then drive. And I'm driving for 8 or 10 hours at a time. Like, from you having such drastic highs and drastic lows, there is no time to space that out. You're going from one extreme to the other extreme without giving yourself time to kind of cool down. And that's really, really bad for your mental health. You cannot take that over time. It will fuck with you. It will break you down. You will have problems. Period. If you don't, then awesome, but you probably will. And most of us, when we get home from tour, we're so used to touring that when we get home, that first week that we're home, we're usually kind of depressed. And especially me and Cole, we get it pretty bad. And we just call it post-tour depression. It's a real thing. Because you're so used to the highs every night of playing a show, and then when you get home, you're back to your regular job that sucks. So it's rough. It's rough when you come back and you have to settle into working your regular 9-to-5 job or whatever you have. It's a big deal, and anybody who's like an artist of honestly of any kind is more than likely deep in their thoughts a lot of times. That is a curse that all artists have. You will overthink things to death. You will live and die by that at some point. Don't chastise people for taking care of their mental health, okay? You can't, because you don't know what that's like. And not everybody, even if you do, even if you've been on tour and you came out better than you went in, that's awesome. Not everybody does. Just because you did doesn't mean that people who need help are worthless or shitty or anything like that. Not everybody is going to be good. Not everybody's going to be as good as you. And for you to bash somebody for needing to take care of their mental health is a real dick move. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Also, I had another fan question. It was about the writing process of songs that are heavy versus songs that are not as heavy, I believe. Here's the process. I have no idea. It just kind of happens. You know, we just kind of write, and this is what most guitar players and most people who write songs, this is what they do. They write at home, or they write, you know, in rehearsal, or they write when they're taking a shower or at the grocery store and they can't remember what the hell they were trying to write by the time they get home, and then they lose it. So you're constantly writing. You write all the time. You're like, as a guitar player, I'm constantly thinking of riffs. I'm constantly thinking of melodies. I'm always doing some kind of composing every day, all the time. Now, whether I remember them or not, that's not the same thing, because I've probably forgotten more than I've ever written. What I tend to do writing-wise is, if it's something that's really good, and if I'm at the grocery store and I think of like a good riff or something like that, I will literally record it into my phone, just you know, mouthing it into my phone, and then I save those. And then when I get home, I try to work them out on my guitar. Or I'll be sitting at home just practicing, and I'll come up with something, and then I will literally record it on my phone, and then try to just write something. Or you know, if I'm in here in a rehearsal space, same thing. I'll think of something cool, and it's usually when the guys aren't here. I notice that's usually when I come up with the good stuff, or what I think is good stuff. Whenever I kind of start working on new riffs, I will figure some of them out, or at least like one or two out on my guitar. And I actually will normally have a drum line in mind. So once I get a couple written out, or at least just figured out, I will come to my laptop and I will start putting together a drum track of just something I have in mind, whatever's in my head at the time. I'll start putting it together a little bit, and then I'll kind of build on that, and more than likely I'll put together like an entire song. Not every time. Sometimes I just get a riff and then we'll kind of come in here and we'll kind of figure it out. But a lot of times I will just write an entire song. I'll send it to the guys. We have like an open door, very democratic kind of policy when it comes to songwriting. I have these ideas. My writing style is only one way. So I will send them to these guys, and it's free market, you know, pick it apart, we'll change whatever. Like I said, I'm only writing one way, so for us to be us, I need those guys to kind of go through and go, this is okay, this is great, this sucks. And then we just kind of work with it, and then it turns into an hour thing. John just recently you know, on this record. He really didn't write too much on the last record. But John just started writing songs for this new record, and he's doing an awesome job. And he has a bit different writing style than I do, but him and I are starting to kind of blend a little bit. Like, I've picked up some of the things that he's done, and he's picked up some of the things that I do, and now we're kind of meeting in this semi-neutral territory, which is awesome. Cole is simple. He just wants breakdowns all the time. That's it. If he could have a song that was literally nothing but breakdown, he'd have it. And he's asked for it. So maybe we'll do that. A lot of times we'll work on it from home, and then we'll build upon that. John uses some kind of composing software. I'm not really sure what it's called. I don't remember. But I use like a Reaper DAW, and then I use Easy Drummer 2 because I'm familiar with it. I know it's not the best drum, blah, blah, blah in the world, before you say anything. I know. But it works for me, and I can use it easily. I can get stuff done with it. It's fine. I have no problem with it. You know, we do still write stuff together, and there are times where maybe we'll be piecing something together, and then we don't have a part for this, and one of us will be like, what about this? And it'll just kind of click. So we do new school and old school writing techniques, whatever makes it work. It doesn't have to be a set process, just whatever gets you from A to B, whatever gets your job accomplished, you're good. Take it as that. Don't look too much into it. Just as long as you're writing, you're good. And let me get to your motivational part real fast. All right. It's gonna be in part with what I said earlier, and the motivational thing is, do not be ashamed if you are going through any kind of mental health illness. If you have one, talk to somebody, get it figured out, go see somebody, whatever you have to do that gets you to where you are now, to where you want to be, is what you want. Don't discriminate against anybody who has a mental illness. No matter how big or small, you don't know, okay? You have no idea what somebody else is going through, so don't sit there and shit on them for trying to do something better for themselves. We gotta take care of each other, no matter how big or small the problems are. Let's do that. All right, guys. Oh, that is gonna do it for this week. I wanna say thank you very much for tuning into this week's Motivational Monday video. If you haven't yet, make sure you check our Rift Apart series, where we take old songs of ours and we break them down section by section and teach you some riffs or solos or whatever we're doing. So I'll leave that in this thing up here, this little tab. I'll leave it there. I'll also put it in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. So thanks again, guys. I will see you next time. Happy Monday, and take care of each other. Later.